Hi everyone, it's Carolyn here with Cello Discovery, and today I want to talk to you about how you change your cello strings. If you're new at playing the cello and this is your first time to ever try this, I'm going to give you a step-by-step description with some close-up video on how you go about doing this, the things that you will need, the things to look out for, and help you through the process. So the first thing you need to do is secure a pencil with a nice sharp lead, and you want to get a tuner that you are used to using because you'll need to learn how to tune your strings when you're finished putting the strings on. A couple pieces of advice. First of all, don't take off all of your strings and then put them back on one at a time. You just want to take off one and then put on one. The next question I always get is about strings. First of all, how do you know when it's time to change your strings? And then the second question is, what type of strings should you purchase? So the first question is, how do you know when it's time to change your strings? Once you start playing a lot more, you're going to feel a difference in response in your strings. They just won't speak as quickly. They'll just sound kind of muted, kind of don't have a lot of resonation to them. So if you start feeling that, it's probably time to get a new set of strings, because new strings are very crisp, they respond very quickly, and they allow you to play better. The other thing is, if you've had strings on there for a long time, one thing that you can do that's going to test if your strings are bad or not is if you play a really, let's say you play on your C string, if you start by drawing the bow and then push like this. Now my strings are not that old, but a really old set of strings, the pitch will actually go sharp. It'll go higher as you push it harder. And sometimes it gets as higher as a half a tone. So if your strings are doing that, they're way overdue and it's time for a new set of strings. So that's how you would know if it's time to get a new set of strings. And then the next question is, what kind of strings do you get? So there is no one answer for everyone, because every cello is slightly unique from the next, or really quite unique from the next. Every player is a little bit different. Everybody has a different idea of what sounds good to them. Everybody has a different idea of what sort of response that they want to have out of their strings. So some of this takes trial and error. Now, I will say, typically, the more expensive the string, usually the higher the quality of the string. I personally use a set of string that is called the Versum Solo, and I find that string to be extraordinary. It's very brilliant, crisp, big tone. It's very quick to break in the string, so you don't have to have it on there very long. I love those. They're quite expensive, so that's the downside to those set of strings. If you want just an all-around good set of strings that's great for, maybe a more beginner player, I think the Yargar Classic is a super set of strings. They won't break the bank, they last a good long time, and they're just well-rounded overall for long sustained playing, crisp playing, so check those out. Okay, so the first thing that I like to do before I start changing the strings is to release a little bit of tension on the fine tuner. So I like to go in there and just take some tension off the fine tuners, because the new strings will take a little while to get to their full tension, and you're going to need to bring the pitch up a bit as they are adjusting to your cello. And the next thing you want to do is figure out how are you're going to do this. So some people like to lay the cello on its back on the bed, or maybe find a table that you can put down a couple pillows so you can secure your instrument on top of the table so it's right in front of you. I tend to just like to sit down when I put these strings on. I turn the cello towards me. I usually take the end pin down pretty far, maybe about to here, and then I turn the cello strings towards me so that I can reach the pegs this way. I also use my knee a little bit to hold the string in place on the bridge when I get to that point. So I like to be able to do that and adjust this way. That works for me. I mean, there's lots of different ways to do that, but since you need more hands to kind of hold tension here and tighten the strings here and put pressure here, it just seems to work the best for me. So we're going to start with the A string. So you're going to follow the A string up, and you're going to notice that this is the peg that's attaching the A string. We're going to release the tension from the A string peg by turning the peg towards you. So just release a little tension, just like this. And as I'm releasing it, I am going to pull the string out as I turn the peg. This is an old string, so you don't need to worry too much about it, because it's going to be a spare set, or it's going to go in the trash, one or the other. So it comes out, and then at the bottom, at the tailpiece, there's a little ball that's hooked into the A fine tuner. You just have to pull it down and then out, and there's your string. So here is my first string. This is the A string, and there's that little ball at the end of the string for the new string. You're going to hook that into the bottom of the A string tuner. Now get a pencil and make a little graphite marking from the pencil. It allows the string to slide easily over the bridge, and it doesn't get caught or damage the string any. So you want to make sure you get a little bit of graphite right there at the bridge. And then you're going to go up to the top of the cello, the top of the fingerboard, put a nice graphite lead marking there as well. Go ahead and put the string over the bridge right where the groove is on the bridge. You might need to put a little tension on that bridge as you're pulling it up. So keep tension on the string. And then you're going to go ahead and pull the peg out. Now you see that little hole that's in there. You can see that the hole goes through. You're going to put the string through the hole. Pull the peg out a little bit so you put it on this side of the D string. Make sure it sticks out a little bit, and then you're going to start winding it away from you. So turn that peg, keeping tension on that peg. You want to keep winding it towards the side of the peg box. Keep holding tension on there. So try to get really lined up. As you're tightening, and you want to make sure that the string is all the way wound all the way to the side of the peg box. You can see that it's running down straight. If it's wound too far, where it's coming off from over here, it's going to be at this angle coming down, and that's going to put tension on the string, which you don't want. So you want a really nice straight line from the peg down. You're going to have to keep looking to make sure that you have tension on the string and that the string stayed in the groove on the bridge and that the ball stayed into the fine tuner. Now once you get the string on there, you do not want to tighten the string all the way. You want it to be a little bit loose. You need a little bit of tone, not too much. Okay, so now all of the new strings are on, and you'll notice that all of the strings are wound against the side of the peg box, closest to the peg, closest to that string. That's to keep that line really nice and straight. Now the tension is not all the way on the strings, so you want to go ahead and get your tuner and very slowly bring the tension up on each of the string little by little until you get it to where you want it, and then you can use the fine tuners to get it closer. You're going to have to keep pushing. Remember, keep pushing on both sides to make sure that the pegs don't slip when you're turning them. Okay, all my strings are now in place. I've changed all of them, and I want to get them perfectly tuned. So what you want to do is open your tuner and little by little tighten the pegs till you get them where you want them. I just go a little bit up, maybe just an eighth of a turn, a little by little with each string, and I slowly tighten each string a little bit, and then I go back and I tighten them each a little bit more, and then I go back a third or fourth time and tighten each string just a little bit more at that point. So I'm slowly bringing all the strings up to pitch instead of getting one in place and then going to the next one and getting it in place, because when you change the pitch of one string, it does have an effect on the other strings, and so you'll see that it's just easier to go little by little on each string. The last thing I do is get a clean rag, and I like to really push down and wipe on the strings because there's a little bit of residual from the factory on the strings that'll get on your fingers. It feels not smooth to me right at first, so I do like to rub off all that from the strings before I get ready to play. Now my strings should sound really brilliant, really bright, and usually it takes about a couple days to break them into their peak, performance abilities, and then they stay that way for quite some months. So that's it. That's how you change cello strings. Go ahead and like this video, and if you would like to subscribe to learn more about how you play the cello or take care of the cello or hear some cello pieces, go ahead and subscribe to my channel below, and I will see you next time.